Welcome to Respiratory Protection Safety Training. This is part 2 of our course. If you missed part 1, it's available on the Rooftop Safety USA website, so feel free to view that at your leisure. Thanks for attending this morning. So let's talk about the different types of respirators commonly used in the chimney service industry. We have our APRs, or air purifying respirators, and they come in a couple of varieties. You have the dust mask type. You're seeing a lot of those now during the COVID pandemic. Just the disposable face mask, but these do have an APF of 10, and they do need to be fit tested. Commonly seen in the chimney service world is the elastomeric half mask respirators. They're very common in the industry. They also have an APF of 10 and require fit testing. And then some guys like the full face respirators, and they have an APF of 50, so they give you greater protection. And again, they require fit testing. This is a typical looking air purifying respirator. They use filters to remove the contaminants from the air. As you breathe in, you create negative pressure in the face piece chamber, and that draws air in through the filter cartridges. And as we talked about in part 1, it's important that you select the proper cartridges for the respirator. So we have positive pressure respirators and negative pressure respirators. Positive pressure respirators use some type of motor, fan to draw air through the filter arrangement and deliver it to the face mask under positive pressure, as opposed to the negative pressure respirator, where just your breathing motion, breathing action causes negative pressure in the face piece chamber, and air is drawn in through the filters. The advantages of the positive pressure is, you have a constant flow of air coming in. They don't rely on a tight seal. So they can be worn by people with beards or big mustaches. The negative pressure, on the other hand, they don't break down as often as a positive pressure. Anything mechanical is going to break down. The battery's going to wear out midway through your job. Those kinds of things. So there's advantages to both. In the positive pressure, air is pushed into the mask by the fan, and then in the negative pressure, air is drawn in by your breath, creating negative pressure. PAPRs, or PAPR, powered air purifying respirators, they draw air through the filters and deliver it to the face mask arrangement under positive pressure. They do not require fit testing, and they have an APR of 25 for most types. So they're right in the middle between the half mask APF of 10 and the full face APF of 50. But they can be worn by people with beards and do not require fit testing. So this shows a powered air purifying respirator. So there's a lot of different models of these on the market. And then there are supplied air respirators and self-contained breathing apparatus. These have very high APF factors, but they still rely on a tight fit and they require fit testing. These types of respirators require quantitative numerical fit testing to accurately determine the level of contaminant that's getting through the mask. We're not going to spend really any more time talking about these types of respirators. I think they're a little bit beyond the scope of this class. These types of respirators are designed for working in IDLH environments or immediately dangerous to life and health, the type of thing you would see a firefighter or other first responder wearing. Okay, so let's talk about, you've heard about N95s and you see P100s. Let's talk a little bit about that. And they're talking about the oil resistance rating of the filters. An N95 respirator is not oil resistant. An R95 is oil resistant, and a P is oil proof. So we're seeing a lot of N95s, P100s popping up during the COVID pandemic. So that's what the N and the P stands for. I haven't been seeing too many R's, but they're out there. Okay. The filter efficiency is rated. A P95 means that the respirator filter is 95% efficient at the 0.3 micron particles. A P100 essentially means it's 100%, but actually, according to the standard, it's 99.97% efficient, but still a pretty damn good level of efficiency. Keep in mind that the higher the efficiency, the more restrictive the filter material has to be, so it's going to be a little more difficult to breathe through. So again, P100 means it's oil proof with a basically 99.97% efficiency. So make sure when you're selecting respirators that they are NIOSH certified. That is a requirement for any respirator used in the workplace. It must be selected to protect you against the hazards in the work environment, and you need to have various sizes so you can ensure that you get a proper fit for your employees. Okay, so select a respirator, with the appropriate filters and the appropriate APF ratings for the work environment. These things will be identified through your hazard assessment, determining what type of respiratory protection is needed. We talked about that in part 1. Okay. And again, all respirators have a variety of different filtering cartridges available. Make sure you're getting the right one. Most of them are color-coded. HEPA filters are the magenta color. The organic vapors are black. That's a good combination in the chimney service world. And then here's a color coding system for respirator cartridges. As I see this, it makes me wonder what color cartridges I'm trying to remember that Walter and Jesse wore when they were cooking up their meth. But the color coding helps you quickly identify the respirator cartridge type or what it's appropriate for. Okay. Make sure that you're changing your cartridges on a predefined schedule. Some respirator cartridges have an end-of-life indicator on the cartridge, so after the packaging has been opened, it lets you know when it's time. Other indications are with a particulate filter. If you're noticing, an increase in resistance, that means your particulate filter is getting loaded up and needs to be changed. In the case of the organic vapor cartridge, if you're picking up odors from the creosote and soot, then again, it's time to change. If you vacuum off your respirator at the end of the job, after you remove your respirator, vacuum any debris off of the cartridge, it helps extend the life of the cartridge. Okay, we're going to get into some of the inspection and maintenance things that you need to know about your respirator. And you should do a visual inspection of your respirator each time before you use it to make sure it's, ready to protect you. So check for cracks, tears, dirt, distortion. Check the inhalation valves for damage. Remove the covers as necessary so you can get a good look at them. And check that the straps are, adequate and going to hold the respirator in place, still have good elasticity, and just do a general observation of all parts for any wear. So, do a visual inspection each time you prepare to use your respirator. Okay. Donning the respirator, put it on, over your nose first, head strap, and then the neck strap goes second. Get it good and snug, but, you don't need to be, crushing your face with the respirator straps. It just needs to be snug, but not too tight. And then after you don your respirator, do user seal checks. You can do a positive pressure check by closing off the exhalation valve and blowing into the respirator. And you should feel it build up a little bit of pressure there, indicating that it's holding pressure. You may need to remove the exhalation valve cover to do this test. And then there are negative pressure checks. You can block the inlet to the filter cartridges or possibly remove the filter cartridges and block the openings where they mount, and then breathe in, and you should feel the respirator collapse on your face, indicating it's, holding a good tight seal. So these are 2 quick checks you can do each time you put your respirator on, and you should do them because wearing a respirator without a good seal is giving you a false sense of protection. It's really not helping you if it's not sealed properly. Keep in mind that respirator does limit your effective a little bit. It does make it a little harder to breathe. Can help you overheat, cause you to overheat or a little bit more. So don't overdo it when you're wearing your respirator. If you're getting into a work rhythm that's requiring, to really breathe deeply, like you've been working out, your respirator may not be able to keep up with you, and then you're going to feel like you're not getting adequate air. You're going to feel claustrophobic. It's not a good feeling when your respirator can't keep up and give you the amount of air that your body is requiring based on the workload. Okay. Continue to monitor your work environment. If conditions change, it could overcome your respirator. So just keep in mind that conditions do change from time to time. Ensure that you always have the proper respirator. Okay. Then there's a thing called contaminant breakthrough we want to watch out for, and that's when the level of contaminant in the work environment overcomes your respirator's ability to handle it. Okay. This can happen because the cartridges aren't filtering properly, the seal is inadequate, or a sudden increase in the concentration of stuff. Symptoms: you might be feeling dizzy, tired, nausea. You may be detecting unusual or excessive odors as you're breathing. So again, keep an eye on the conditions. Make sure your respirator is adequate for those conditions. And if any of these things happen, if you experience the contaminant breakthrough, you need to get out of that contaminated environment. Other times that you need to leave the work area is if you need to remove your respirator for any reason, if you need to do maintenance on your respirator, if you need to replace the cartridges or filters. Obviously, you need to get out of the contaminated environment before you remove your respirator. And we want to keep our respirators clean and serviceable. Do this as often as necessary. Keep them clean, and certainly if you're trading respirators, which I certainly don't recommend, every employee should have their own respirator. Keep them clean between different people, but again, not a good idea. Okay. And removing the parts and cleaning with warm soapy water, soaking them, that's usually adequate. Don't submerge your filters in water, but clean the face mask portion. Okay. So here's an outline of cleaning. Remove the cartridges. Disassemble the face piece by removing the different components there. Wash in warm soapy water. Rinse in warm water, and then allow to air dry. Don't dry them with any type of heat source. That's just going to cause premature breakdown of the rubber components of the respirator. And then reassemble the respirator and check it. Make sure it's working as it should. Okay. And then store your respirator. Keep in mind, this thing is protecting your health and safety. So store it by storing it in an airtight, like a Ziploc bag. That prolongs the life of the filter cartridges, and you want to store it so it's not going to get crushed or smashed. Don't throw it in the bottom of your toolbox and throw your tools on top of it. Protect your respirator so that it can protect you. Okay, that's just super important. Maintain your respirator as necessary. Make sure you're using the proper parts for the respirator so that it's going to continue to function properly. Okay. Certainly training is required before employees are allowed to use a respirator. They must be properly trained on that, and then retraining and fit testing should occur annually. Okay, and then if there's any type of change in the workplace environment, they need to be retrained for those new conditions. Okay, your training program should be run by a knowledgeable and qualified person, somebody who's had special training, and somebody that understands the respiratory program and all of the equipment that is being used. Okay, so in summary, before requiring use of respirators, the employer must make a reasonable effort to eliminate hazards before requiring use of respirators. Eliminating the hazard is always the preferred approach. Okay? If respirators are required, there must be a written respiratory protection program that is available to the employees, and the employees must be trained on it. All respirators and equipment must be NIOSH certified. Employees must be fit tested and have medical evaluation before using their respirator. Respirators must be inspected before each use, and only trained employees may use respirators. So that brings us to the end of our respiratory protection presentation. I hope you found this useful. Hope you got some things out of it that will help keep you safe as you do your day-to-day work. And if I can ever help you, my contact information is here. I love to talk about safety, so get in touch. Have a great day out there, and let's stay safe. Thanks for watching.